Well, we've had a great week last week, plus 4.4% or something along these lines. So it's about right. Let's get into it and see exactly what happened. Seems like there will be a lot of opportunities this week. I'm just looking at this chart, like the weekend price action and the overnight for the Monday trading days already. They're already like, these ranges are so big for now. Like let's just check it out. It's weekend price action 102k, $500 up till 106,600. That's 4k, 4.1k. That's a lot. Like this range is big. We've already started the overnight range with the first 2 4-hour candles. We're already surpassing the weekend PA high with the overnight high, with actually the current overnight high, and then we had a very sharp correction until the bottom of the weekend price action low. So this is where we're standing right now. Literally weekend PA. We've had both sides taken by the literal overnight range for Monday. That's a lot of movement. I think this week will be very interesting to trade, and I'm expecting pretty big moves, to be honest, at this point. But yeah, let's see what we did last week, how I traded last week. So this is basically the Excel for the last week. We've had 72.7% win rate, so 11 trades and only 3 losses, 2 losses on Friday and 1 loss on Monday, a very small one. Biggest loss $25, biggest win 106, and the average loss is $16 and the average win is 61. This is pretty good. These are pretty good numbers for a week, really good numbers for a week. Basically a 4.4% increase. This is I mean, it was a really good week for me. You can obviously see that I have added Ethereum, Solana, and on Friday the injective trade. This wasn't too good, to be honest. I don't think I'll trade injective ever again. I mean, not sure if ever again, but surely will restrain myself from actively trading it. So I took some trades on Solana and Ethereum because I've seen that the moves with Bitcoin this week have been pretty fairly accurate between the pairs, and so I don't really want the positions themselves weren't too big, only 10 Solana and 1 Ethereum. Bitcoin would stay same as last week on 0.05, and then I don't really want to make it a rule of thumb of taking Ethereum and Solana trades at the same time with Bitcoin. Obviously they were a bit delayed. You can see it here, so it's like what, 10 minutes between them, just checking around the PA and whatnot. Then the other ones, obviously we had Solana taken after Bitcoin with 30 minutes and Ethereum only in the New York session, right? So I wasn't completely reckless, and also I had pretty good biases for this week, but I won't make it something that I will do every trade or every week or every series of trades. I tested it a bit. It looks fine, but I will restrain myself from taking other trades other than Bitcoin because it can turn into losses pretty fast. But then let's see what happened last week. Let's see what trades I took, and let's see if they made sense or not, right? So as usual, I will turn back to the chart. We've had the high of last week in the overnight high from Monday. It looks pretty similar to this week, right? So I can expect some shorts trade if I can take this overnight high, put in the overnight range as a pivot high, right, for the stop loss. So then let's see what trades I took last week. So I had the first trade I took, it was in New York session. It was a short from 104k. So New York session would be around here, right? New York session should be around here, so 104k, something around this. So I had a short around here, Let's have it. Okay, this sounds better. This looks better. I had a short around here, and I kind of compounded it around 17, 27, 30, 36, and 54. It was around 102.6 and 103.1. Let's see where these were. It was around here, so I had everything ever since here. So my point was that if we would go under the weekend price action low, we would have a sharper break to the downside, right? So I had these and some more here, right? So these were my sells, which weren't bad. Obviously we didn't go much lower, and I just went out of the trade at around here, right? 102,600. Okay, this doesn't sound bad. So I've seen that it was kind of moving around this area for too long, and I thought that this low would actually not be taken maybe, and it would be strong enough to push us to the upside. So I took my trade out around here, right? Okay, this is fine. This sounds around, it's good, right? It was the biggest win of the week, $106. That's 1%. That's really good. Obviously I could have kept it for lower, but you may never know. So I didn't know where we would go from here, right? The minus 1.5 loss was actually from trying to long. Okay, so what I did is I was still based on the idea that we would go higher from here, right? So I longed this side, and I went out at basically break even, right? So even if the price went a bit higher here, I still went to break even before this sharp break to downside. So that was the small losing trade. Basically this trade is viable. This stop loss here is pretty good. This stop loss here is pretty good, and I think this makes sense, right? So the overnight high that is basically swing failure patterning the weekend price action high, and having it as a stop loss is not a bad idea. Okay, so this was the first trade. This was a winning trade. This is all good. Then we've had another trade, another short on Tuesday at around the same level at 2054. So 2054 should be around here, right? So around here. At this point I didn't really have a trade on Tuesday, to be honest, because there was nothing here. I could have gotten a trade out of the break of overnight high and then continuing higher, but I didn't really want to do that because at this point, having this low here, I wasn't completely sure if this was the actual low or not. So having a trade here, at the overnight high could swing to a loss, and to be honest, I just wasn't willing to take that loss, right? So what I did is I shorted here. Yeah, I shorted around here. The price went a bit higher, but still the stop loss from above seemed good enough for me. Well, not much happened here on Tuesday because there weren't any other trades or compound trades. I let it overnight to run overnight, but obviously I'm trying to not do that anymore. I just thought that this high is just good enough. It's actually good enough for a stop loss, and my bias was that we wouldn't overtake it this week, which didn't happen. So this was pretty good from my end. Okay, on Wednesday we had, in London session, I compounded this short that I had on Tuesday. 1248 would be around here, and it's at 103 to 268, so it's something around here. So I compounded it here. What we can obviously notice is that if I would have waited for the New York session, I would have caught a better compound, right, of the overnight session from Wednesday. So there was a liquidity grab from the overnight high from Wednesday PA. I will just make it a bit bigger so it makes more sense. I don't know, I thought this was good enough to break to the downside, no problem. Nevertheless, it was a compound to the Tuesday trade, And then at the same time, at around the same times, I took trades on Ethereum and Solana, right? I won't show the trades for Ethereum and Solana because it doesn't really make sense for me. The main idea was that Bitcoin won't go over 106k, and for me this was kind of enough. I would have kept the trades for Ethereum and Solana pretty conservative enough to not lose much in case the Bitcoin trade would go sour. That's how I will trade altcoins. Okay, so if the Bitcoin price action in the Bitcoin chart doesn't make sense, I will look to get out of the altcoins as fast as possible. I don't really care about altcoins making too much profit. I only care about Bitcoin. Okay, so what I did, I closed the trade at 1805 at 102.8k. So here I was actually at the gym, and I noticed that this 102.8k would be quite strong. So what I wanted to do at this point is say, okay, I'm at the gym, I don't know what's going on, and I don't really want to waste more time watching the chart, so I just closed the short here, which is pretty good, right? I couldn't know if this would be I really couldn't know if this would be strong enough to show a move to the upside from here or not. And I said, okay, I'm not willing to take this risk, and it's that simple. Okay, let's see on Thursday. So on Thursday we had a few more trades. What I thought about Thursday is that since this low here was not taken, I was fairly sure. I mean, you can never be sure, obviously, but I thought that this is a good stop loss. So what I did is I started buying here. I've noticed that the overnight range from Thursday was broken to the downside of the London session, and even a more important thing was that I mean, it was just, these weeks were pretty good. These weeks were showing me that there is buying, and people want to buy at this level. And I thought, okay, the risk isn't that big to go under 100k.6, and I think a lot of people were expecting the 100k to be touched, or maybe we broke under the 100k area. So what I thought is that I can probably take trades here. So what I did was I took first trade at 101.9k at 12.53. So 12.53 would be around here, 101.9k, so something around here. This was the first trade. Let's put it as a long. So this was a long here, and then I compounded it at 17.1 so that's literally B session for New York session, and 1843. So it was at 102.173, 102 at 17, right? So this is something around here. So this was the first compound. Then we had another compound, 1843. So basically when we broke to the upside, right? Yeah, something around here. So I had another compound here, and this chart was pretty good to me. I was targeting the overnight range high. Honestly, it was pretty bad of me to not wait, but I've seen that there is too much pressure here, and I thought we wouldn't get higher than this. I just closed the trade here, which is fine, because I mean, again, we had a good move. We've had good profits, and I've also had trades on Solana and Ethereum here, so that's fine for me. That's extremely good. I had made a lot of profits, around what? Oh yeah, it was at that point, it was 1.8%, which was extremely good. But then I wanted to short the overnight range high retest, so it was around 103.7k, and 3.7k was around 1956, so something around here, right? So I shorted this after. This was the next trade on Thursday. I shorted this, and then I compounded it at 21.49. 21.49 should be around here, at around this level, right? So I compounded it around here, but I noticed that the VWAP is pretty strong here. So what I did is I closed the trade around here for another around what? Well, it was around 6%, 0.6%, which is very good, right? So I ended the day on 2.4% win. That's really good. So this was basically a very, very good week. I've had, at this point, I had 4.8% in profits. Now let's see how I went down to 4.4%. So me going down to 4.4% was just that. Is this double here? Oh yeah, it was a double overnight range. What I did was I took absolutely no trades on Friday. I was also not at home, so I wasn't completely sure if I wanted to take them. what I did, I started longing, right? So I started longing around the session around here, I think. Let me see. So yeah, this was my first long position, and I took another compound on this position at around, yeah, it's exactly here when we broke out the overnight high. So at this point I was like, okay, listen, we've had this low not being taken, we've had another higher low, and it was barely taken on Thursday. We've had some nice wicks and some nice 4 hours. If you're checking it, it had some nice 4 hours here. So I thought, okay, we're kind of bullish. Let's see if we can actually move forward and take this high here. To be honest, I wanted this high to be taken on Friday evening on New York session, or at least before overnight session on the weekend. It didn't happen. Okay, so what happened is I also took an injective high, not big one, but I took an injective high. Like you can see it here, right? I took an injective high, I took a Bitcoin injective buy, Bitcoin buy. I compounded the Bitcoin buy, but unfortunately I just noticed that the chart just doesn't want to go higher on this Friday evening. So what I decided to do is just go out at a small loss on both positions, right? I just went out and I said, okay, listen, this is not my trade, it happens, no problem, my idea wasn't good enough. And that's what a good trader does, right? You understand that sometimes you're just not right. The idea was good, it didn't work out, whatever, we just go next. It was a minus 0.47%. It's fine, you have to take losses from time to time. So after checking the trades from last week, let's just see what exactly have we learned from these trades, right? Because most important thing to do is to keep in mind what we did good, what we did wrong, and how we can move forward, understanding more about ourselves and our way of trading, and becoming just better at the craft. This is what the job is, just becoming better, having your process being better, and being more acquainted to whatever you're thinking while trading. So we'll just write week 3 here, and let's start, right? So I think the first and the biggest thing to keep in mind is we should not get used to trading altcoins at the same time with Bitcoin, right? So altcoins trading should be minimal, only when BTC bias is strong, only if the trade is started on New York session, right? Then this should be like this. Okay, good. So we will trade Bitcoin only if we will trade altcoins only if the Bitcoin bias is good enough, and if the trade is started on New York session, like we did with the Ethereum trade here, right? This was a good trade. This was a really good trade. So we're only based on Bitcoin. That's all what matters. So we can also say that de-risk altcoins way faster and don't expect big profits, bigger returns. Though, okay, this makes sense, right? Don't expect big profits, bigger returns if BTC doesn't look as good as you'd want. Good. So this is another thing that we can keep in mind. Along with this, I would say that this week has been quite good on trading, to be honest. It was really good. Now, what I could add here would be let's think about this for a bit. What was lacking for me last week? I had good bias, I had good stop losses, I had a good view of the market. Okay, yeah, I could just start the trades, right? So try starting most of the trades on New York session. What I have noticed is that so usually New York session is taking London overnight pivots. So trading around overnight was very good this week, but you also have to keep in mind that taking too many London session trades can just deplete a lot of mental capital, and the New York session already moves pretty wild around in London pivots. So I have to keep that in mind. That would be really good for trading, just preserving mental capital and having the knowledge that New York session usually takes the pivots, and it's kind of useless to take London trades unless you close them before New York session, which obviously doesn't really happen that often, right? And to be honest, I think that's pretty much it for this week, because the trading was really good. I mean, last week when we've had a lot of issues with the trades, I clearly said, right, that what we've missed. This week it was better. There are some points to take out of this week, but overall it was way better than last week. So for me, I'm very content with this. But then we noticed on the weekend we've had a big move to the upside on this is Sunday, right? Yeah, this was Sunday, and this is something, I mean, it's not concerning, but obviously it took the overnight high that was the high from last week, and then the overnight high for today actually took the high from the weekend and the low from the weekend, the overnight low, and then now we're left with this PA right now. So what are we looking for this week? Let's go a bit higher on the this looks so amusing here with the circles. But then last two weeks ago we've had this weekly high volume node here. We have the range from going out of this former bottom range to the higher range. We have the point of control here at around 94k. What I would like to see this week, let's see some important points. Some important points would be 100k, right? We have 100k here. We have around 99.4, so let's say 99.4, 100k here. Then we have the 97, which is the big point of control that we care about from last PA as well, right? So it's 97k. Let's say 97k. We have 97k here. Then we would have 94k around here, which is really important to me because it would also probably not take this overnight lows, right? So if it doesn't take this overnight lows, the price action doesn't take this overnight lows, we're looking pretty bullish still. So we can still make a big range between 94k and let's say 103k, right? Let's say 103k around the value area high of the current range. So this would be a pretty good idea to trade around this week. Now let's see locally. So locally we have the high from last week, which is last week high pivot. It's basically the start of London session. That is completely fine. Let's just make a plan for today. So we have, let's say we are going to track 0.75. It's exactly 0.75. So let's say we would get the retest from here around New York session. I would probably take this. I would take this short with the same idea that this overnight high here that took the weekend PA session, they took the high of the weekend PA session, can be strong enough for a stop loss. Okay, but then we also have to keep in mind that there are some other, I mean, these 4 hour highs are kind of taken at the moment, right? So we're only left with the all-time high. So this can really be set as a lower high right now once more, and it can really be a good stop loss point. If we go to the daily chart, we can actually see that this is pretty much very close to the top of the top of the chart, to the all-time high. It can be classed as a lower high. I would say it's a good stop loss here. So we can look for this. We can definitely look for this short here. So let's say we take the short here. Let's move on the red indicator. Let's say we take the short here. What are we targeting with the short here? To be honest, for me, I will just target the weekend PA low. So let's say I take the short there. For me, it's very important to see what the price will do at this level, right? It's very important. And let's say we don't take this short today and we're actually going sharply lower after the VWAP, right? Let's say we just go to the VWAP and then we just go sharply lower. What would we do there? Well, in my opinion, I would check the point of control for this week, right? So the point of control for this week is about 103k. The point of control for last week is about 103, 100.4k. So what I would actually do if I were to trade after a sharp breakdown, what I would do is the following. Let's have this deleted. let's say we're not taking the short from the retest, and let's say we would do something like this, right? So at this point, what I would care about is, am I taking this low? Am I taking this low? If I'm taking this low, and then we're gonna go very, very, very fast out of it, I would actually look at a 103, 104 retest and see what the price does there. That would be another short that I can think about, because then I would say, okay, we broke sharply to the downside, the chart is not looking strong at all, and locally obviously, and we can probably see another retest to the downside, right? So for me, for now, I'm having a few trades on my mind. I will obviously also look to see if we can maybe take a long from this area, from 100k area, maybe up to the overnight low and the weekend PA low. See how we will do there. If we treat this as a range, then we can just say, okay, we will just compound the trade once we go back into the overnight range, right? So for me, these are the trades for this week. Last week has been very good. 2 weeks ago we've had a pretty big loss, but last week we had a bigger win compared to 2 weeks ago's loss. And that's pretty much it. We just take it day to day, week to week, and become better. And I hope I will see you to the next video. I hope this made sense. I hope you enjoyed it. And that's pretty much me signing out. Take care.